Good evening. I'll now call the Standing Committee meeting of June 2nd, 2025 to order. The Durham District School Board acknowledges that many Indigenous nations have long-standing relationships, both historic and modern, with the territories upon which our school board and schools are located. Today, this area is home to many Indigenous peoples from across Turtle Island. We acknowledge that the Durham region forms part of the traditional and treaty territory of the Mississaugas of Scugog Island First Nation, the Mississauga peoples, and the treaty territory of the Chippewa of Georgina Island First Nation. It is on these ancestral and treaty lands that we teach, learn, and live. Are there any declarations of interest? Seeing none, there are no declarations of interest at this time. Can I get a motion to approve the agenda? Trustee Morton, all those in favor? It's carried. Moving on to DDSB presentations, I'll call on Candace Thomas for the Youth Hubs and Youth Liaison Worker Update.
Good evening, and through you, Chair Oldfield. The presentation is referenced in your package on pages 1 through 10. The team will be providing an update on the revitalization and expansion of our secondary youth and community hubs, as well as the evolving role of the youth liaison worker. They'll also share future directions aimed at creating more inclusive, family-centered spaces that align with our multi-year strategic plan. I have the honor of introducing our presenters for this evening, Fatima Moutaj, Community and Partnership Specialist, and two of our three liaison workers, Camille Rose and Shamika Kalist, who action the work within our Family and Community Engagement Department. At this time, I'd like to invite them to share their presentation with us.
Thank you, Superintendent Thompson, and through you, Chair Oldfield. Good evening. It is my pleasure to be here tonight to share an update on the Youth Hubs and the Youth Liaison Worker role within the Family and Community Engagement Department. My name is Fatima Moutaj, and I'm joined today by my colleagues Camille Rose and Shamika Kalist, who will speak more about the Youth Liaison Worker role later in this presentation. Originally launched in 2018 as part of DDSB's Positive Youth Development Strategy, the Youth Hubs were designed to address service gaps and support gaps for students. Like many initiatives, the Hubs experienced disruptions due to pandemic-related closures and a reduction in community partner capacity. However, this necessitated pause gave us an opportunity to reimagine the Hubs as inclusive, community-centered spaces aligned with our multi-year strategic plans, pillars of learning, connection, and well-being. Currently, we're working to shift our youth hubs into youth and community hubs as vibrant collaborative spaces that support both students and families. These hubs will serve as critical connection points between students, schools, parents and caregivers, and community organizations, offering programming that fosters belonging, well-being, and academic success. Ongoing consultation with students, families, staff, and community partners will continue to inform each hub. This collaborative approach ensures that programming is responsive to the unique needs of each school community. Whether it's through after-school activities, wellness supports, or family engagement events, the hubs will continue to be essential spaces of connection, care, and opportunity. At the heart of this work are our youth liaison workers, a role unique to the DDSB, who operate across the board and are currently supporting over 160 students across 17 schools, including our 6 secondary hub sites. What began as a pilot role has now expanded from 1 to 3 youth liaison worker positions. These dedicated professionals provide mentorship to disengaged or at-risk youth, support school transitions, and connect youth with vital programs, services, and resources. They work with students individually and in group settings, while also contributing to key initiatives such as Cypher, Empower Her, and Be Me, as well as supporting the Compendium of Action for Black Student Success. Feedback from both students and school leaders have been overwhelmingly positive. Students report feeling more supported, understood, and connected to school, while administrators describe the youth liaison workers as essential members of their student support teams. At this time, I'll hand it over to Camille and Shamika, who are both currently youth liaison workers on our team, to share further insights about the youth liaison worker role, followed by a brief video. Thank you.
Good evening. Our team of youth liaison workers supports students in grades 7 to 10 through mentorship geared towards increasing engagement, making community connections, and increasing opportunities for success. The youth liaison worker role is dynamic, responsive, and an integral component of the student success team. Working in collaboration with administrators, educators, and community agencies, we recognize that having an impact with students isn't a one-size-fits-all. Our support is tailored to meet the individual needs of the students we serve, is rooted in care, and established through relationships built on trust and safety.
We seek to inspire students to aim higher, dream bigger, and to see their own potential. In many ways, we get to be a bridge, connecting disengaged youth to positive supports within schools and communities. We get to witness firsthand the transformative power of connection that extends far beyond simply building rapport. We are mentors, allies, and often the difference between students giving up and pressing forward. We are advocates, supporters, and a steady presence students can rely on. We help to keep students accountable while ensuring they feel seen, heard, and valued. For our team, this work is not just a job, it is a calling, and it is through this calling that we help shape brighter futures, one student at a time. Thank you.
Thank you, Camille and Shamika. We now ask that you turn your attention to our video presentation, further highlighting the hubs and the youth liaison worker role.
It's really hard to describe the youth liaison worker role because it serves many purposes for each individual person and what their needs are.
So youth liaison workers provide mentorship opportunities geared towards supporting students grades 7 to 8 who may have difficult times socializing or connecting with peers, and also determining available resources that meet their needs within the community.
I'm supporting students with anything like finding job placements, the transition from elementary school to high school, and supporting you, making you feel comfortable while you are in school.
And helping the students through each challenge, and also, kind of helping them cross that finish line from elementary school and then entering secondary.
The YLW at my school impacted my school experience by giving me a more positive space. My YLW helped me enjoy coming to school more because I used to not enjoy coming to school, but having YLW made me feel more supported and welcome, and made me feel like I had someone I could go to when I needed help, or when I was upset, or just when I was struggling with anything.
And it just taught me to be myself, to be more social, to love myself more, to eat better, have a healthy diet, to be comfortable with people that I never knew, and to also teach me how to always remember that there's someone that loves me.
Our youth liaison worker has been a great mentor to all our students.
So I think the YLW fills some huge gaps in schools for students. I've been privileged to work with 3 YLWs now at 2 different schools, and I can honestly say that they've been an integral part of our student success team.
Our role has been impactful with connecting with the community hubs. While working with students firsthand and families, we're able to detect the need based upon connecting with them, seeing the impact, and then also delivering that message to community partners so they can make the modifications necessary to help benefit the students in the revolving communities.
I'm from the community, so being able to understand a little bit more beyond just the students, but also the makeup of the community, allows me to help the partners that are coming in, I would say, focus or gain an insight on what would be beneficial for the students.
Students come in and have access to a youth-friendly space. I think that's important. They might be in their classrooms all day, but after school, during lunch, they can come into a youth hub where they have photography classes, they get to cook, practice life skills, things that matter to day-to-day living.
One word that I would use to describe my YLW worker is supportive.
Respectful.
Amazing.
Passionate.
Thank you. We hope you enjoyed the video. Looking ahead to next year, we're excited to expand the youth and community hubs to Pickering with a new site at Pine Ridge Secondary School. Additionally, we're exploring the development of smaller hub spaces in elementary schools, as well as actively exploring new opportunities to deepen family engagement within our hubs by expanding to adult programming that supports student well-being and achievement. These efforts reinforce our commitment to creating equitable, inclusive spaces where students and families can thrive. Thank you for your time, and we look forward to advancing this important work with your continued support. We now welcome any questions you may have for us.
Thank you. Any questions from trustees? Trustee Thatcher?
Thank you, Chair. And through you, I see Section 5.0 under financial implications that the budget for these expenditures is included. It's on page 22 in the budget book. And I'm in the budget book here on page 22, just trying to find out what envelope that came from, where the budget came from for that, or what line on page 22, if someone could explain that.
So the line, it's provided through core educational funding. And so that is one of the services that we use to support this program through our family and community engagement department. So there might not be an exact line, but it comes from that core funding that we have allocated directly to support this programming and staffing.
Okay, Christine or Trustee Thatcher, are you good? Was that your question, or do you have a supplemental? Okay, go ahead.
Thank you, Chair. I'm just not quite clear. I see that it's included, there are 8 lines down. Professional something technology, I think it is, and it's a lump sum there. I'm just wondering just to make it more clear to me, if you wouldn't mind, what other items would be included in that section?
Through you, Madam Chair, thank you. There are a number of job classifications that are included in the professional, paraprofessional. A lot of our PSSP staff would be included in there, social work, etc. So we receive, there are a number of different staffing classifications included in the classroom staffing fund. This would be a support that we would allocate through the professional, paraprofessional line. So there's no It's not as direct as teacher. We receive funding specific for teachers based on average class size. We also receive funding for school supports that are deemed professional or paraprofessional, and out of that funding line we would allocate for the youth liaison worker position. I don't have a list of the 251 positions in the budget book from last year, but certainly I can get a little bit more detail for you, Trustee Thatcher. I just don't have all the staff classifications at my fingers.
Thank you. Trustee Edwards?
Thank you, and I was so pleased to read this report, particularly that the Family and Community Engagement Department was revitalizing and expanding the Secondary Youth and Community Hub program. I've seen how it works, and I have seen how our youth liaison workers basically help promote and student success, particularly making our students feel like they've been heard. The program is vital to students' well-being and success, as you mentioned in the report. I was saddened when the J. Clark Richardson hub was closed at that point in time, but we still have the one in Ajax, and it's just flourishing. I'm also pleased in the report that I see that 26% of referrals are actually done by students or others. That means that, in my mind, that, students are aware of the program and they do feel like it's a safe place to go. But I actually have 4 questions in the thing and about the report. Particularly, one is how do we make this inclusive to all students, particularly making the hubs inclusive to students with special needs. And then I do want to ask a question around transitioning, but I'll ask one question at a time if I may, Chair.
It sounded like 2, but we'll go.
But I would say I've got 4 questions.
Okay, so we'll go with the first one.
Thank you, Trustee Edwards, and thank you for bringing up that very important question. Our goal with all of these hubs is to make them inclusive, student-focused, and to ensure all students and students with exceptionalities are also thriving in these spaces. So to that end, we've ensured that all of the hub spaces are physically accessible, but beyond that as well, in ensuring that the programs are accessible and reflective of the student needs as well. So in creating or developing the programming, we'll be working closely with our community partners, as well as consulting with SEAC, consulting with members of the community, and of course the students with diverse needs and students with exceptionalities to ensure that the programs and the spaces are reflective of their needs and their wants, and ensuring that even the physical makeup of the space is reflective of what the student needs are. So for instance, if it means bringing sensory spaces into the physical spaces, those are things that we can bring. And in thinking of the programming as well, ensuring that we have the right people at the table is going to be crucial. So as we're looking to partner with community organizations and even in our internal teams across the board, ensuring that those voices are reflected in the conversations that are being had and in the development phase as we move forward into next year.
Thank you, and I appreciate my next question is, like later on we're going to be looking at our special education plan. And I just want to know again around sort of a referral process and tying it into the transition planning for grades 7 and 8, because we do know that the transition planning is really, really important for success for our students going on to into high school. And I'm just wondering how can there be a referral be done by our youth liaison workers automatically when they're going into grade 9 to ensure that there's that included in the transition so students feel safe? Because often our students with exceptionalities don't necessarily feel comfortable talking because they with other new people. And so just making that connection, and especially that human connection to somebody at the school, will be really key in their success.
Thank you again for that question, Trustee Edwards. That is crucial in ensuring continuity, definitely. At the moment, we receive referrals for the youth liaison workers through a variety of avenues. So the school administrators will refer the students, or they can be referred by staff from the school support team. So that could include social workers, guidance counselors, for instance, at the secondary level. A lot of students can also self-refer, can come from students and whatnot. To your question about the students with exceptionalities may not feeling comfortable in approaching the youth liaison workers themselves, can I clarify if you're asking if they can self-refer, or if you can please clarify that piece for me?
Well, in order to self-refer, they would have to be aware of the program as well. So I'm just wondering how that student somehow, whether get that referral right at the beginning of the year so that they make it, whether it's a self-referral, then how is that can be done, or whether, because they'd have to be aware of the program and they might not necessarily know at the time, or ensuring that it's aware during the transition planning process that the parent is aware as well, so that can be done as well.
Thank you. So yes, definitely. We do have a process in place for the schools that the youth liaison workers operate from. The school administrators are aware of the support that they provide, and oftentimes if they find a student would benefit from the support that they provide, they would make that referral. But the youth liaison workers also go into classrooms to introduce themselves on often cases. If a teacher, for instance, is aware of a student that could benefit from their support, they would definitely make that connection for them. And the great thing about this role is that it comes from a very community-based approach. So beyond everything, it's building that relationship first, building that rapport first, to ensure that the students feel comfortable in even speaking with them. So sometimes you'll find that even students will make other students aware of the supports that the youth liaison workers provide. So to your question with regards to that referral process or ensuring that the students are aware, we are working on a little project on the summer to create videos to go along with each of the youth liaison workers so that they can be introduced to their schools. So that includes awareness of teachers, administrators, ensuring that the students also know who they are, because we recognize that we're a part of a large system, and sometimes not everybody knows what everybody does. So in trying to platform them and make sure that the schools that they're working out of are more aware of what exactly it is they do, and in introducing them to the students in different spaces beyond the classrooms, but also through extracurriculars, also through the hub spaces, we're hopeful that students who do require their support will be able to be identified and utilize them for some of the supports and services that they need.
Trustee Cunningham.
Thank you, and through you, Chair. Is there any way for someone to access these supports if they don't attend a school where there's currently a hub? So I'm really excited to hear we're getting one in Pickering, but what if you go to Dunbarton? What if you're in intermediate in one of the elementary schools? Is there any way of accessing the support that will be at Pine Ridge?
Thank you, Trustee Cunningham, and through you, Chair. Yes, definitely. The youth liaison workers actually work in a variety of schools across the district, but to highlight, they do work in the hub schools as well. So at the moment, they're working across 17 schools, secondary and elementary, and they do get called on to support some other students in other schools as well. Keeping in mind that the hub schools have feeder schools as well. Typically, they will be connected to those schools, but definitely if there is a need in some other schools across the district, they have gone and they have provided their supports in those schools as well.
Trustee Morton.
Thank you, and through you. Firstly, I want to say thank you for the work that you do. I have visited the hub at Brock High School, and when it was created in, I think, 2019-20, it was wonderful. And just like all the other hubs, COVID caused problems, and I'm thankful that we have recovered from that. I love the fact that you're moving into elementary. But we are a growing board, so I'm curious to know, will we have physical limitations in elementary schools because of our numbers?
Very good question. We are limited to the fact that we do have 3 liaison workers and we do have quite a few schools. As we look at the needs across the system, there has been an expansion from 1 to 3. So moving forward, looking at where the needs are within our district, we may be able to look at where there may be a requirement for additional supports. What's been great with what Fatima has been talking about is also the fact that although our youth liaison workers are linked to a specific hub and the feeder schools, they have been able to also support some schools that have some specific needs that are outside of that realm, because we do know that those supports are needed. But it's also helping to support the sustainability of the schools themselves in getting them to help support their students in more of a sustainable way, so that they can come into some of those spaces and move out and still have some of those caring adult relationships there as well. And also leveraging our bigger community and some of the supports that they can offer in those spaces, because 3 people can't do all the work, but we do have an entire region, and we're trying to have more people come into that space, more organizations who can support our youth and families in utilizing some of our spaces when they're not being used. So we actually can offer some of those requirements as well to support those families and schools, particularly at elementary.
Trustee Thatcher?
Thank you, and through you, Chair. I just want to close it out by thanking you for the presentation, for all of the information that you've provided tonight. I have worked with in a school where we had the benefit of liaison worker, the youth liaison worker, and I certainly appreciated the benefit to students who sometimes just needed a little break away from the classroom or somebody to talk to. So, and I know it goes well beyond that. But thank you very much, Superintendent Thompson and your team.
Seeing no further questions, thank you very much for the presentation.
Hi, sorry, there's a question online.
Sorry, Stephen. Go ahead, Trustee Lynn.
That's okay, no problem. And thank you through you, Chair. Just again, excited to hear about the role and especially the expansion into Pine Ridge. I've had an opportunity to work with some of the youth liaison workers in some of my other roles and see that they're really making a difference. Also really happy to hear about the engagement model, including the larger community and including SEAC and the PIC. But I have just a couple of questions and they may have been answered, so excuse me if I didn't catch this. I think the first one is around how the youth liaison workers connect with the provincial youth outreach workers and the community hubs. I think I just heard mention of potentially organizations utilizing the hubs. Ajax through the Durham Community Health Center is getting a youth hub. So just wondered where you see the synergy between those workers, the youth outreach workers, the hub, and the youth liaison workers and your hubs. That's the first question.
Thank you, Trustee Linton, and through you, Chair. With regards to the provincial youth outreach workers, they're generally attached to community organizations, and so when we invite these organizations into our youth and community hubs, they have an opportunity to collaborate on delivering different types of programming. So we have had opportunities to collaborate with these organizations and in conjunction with our youth liaison workers deliver programs and develop programs, co-develop programs and deliver some of these different types of activities in the spaces. With regards to your second question, if you don't mind repeating it, please. I wasn't able to write so quickly.
You kind of answered it. I was just wondering how some of this work connects into the community hubs. And I guess especially and where I connected with one of your youth liaison workers was during a March break camp, where they were supporting some young people who had, some challenges, and they wanted to make sure that they were connected to additional supports through March break for that wraparound service. So the question around how this connects with some of the up and incoming community hubs that are opening in Durham.
Thank you, Trustee Linton. And yes, definitely, we do provide offerings over March break, for instance, PD days. Actually, there's another one coming up this week that our lovely team is working on, and ensuring that, on those days that schools are closed or instruction isn't happening, the students have opportunities to engage outside the classroom. So we are trying to ensure that that wraparound support is being provided, and through, again, those connections with the community partners, seeing where their expertise can be leveraged in developing these programmings and offering programs to students reflective of what they would like to see and reflective of their needs and priorities as well.
Awesome. And my final question, that was question one. The final question shouldn't be as difficult. Just wondering around the funding structure. So is this part of the core budget, or is this limited funding like we saw with the student graduation coaches?
So that question was answered for previously by Superintendent Wright, and so the line comes out of some of the paraprofessional funding line. There are quite a few different staffing in that line, and some of that funding is directed towards the staffing here with this with our youth liaison workers.
Okay, now seeing no further questions, thank you very much for the presentation. Thank you. Moving on to recommended actions, I'm looking for a motion for the approval of the Standing Committee minutes of May 5th, 2025. Trustee Miller, all those in favor? Opposed? That's carried. Moving on to information items. First, we have the student trustee year-end presentation.
Thank you, and through you, Chair. This report, we chose to take a different and more unique approach to sum up our accomplishments over this entire year. We put the report in a form of a video with visuals as well, and we really hope that you enjoy the recap of some of our major highlights from our year as student trustees.
Good evening, trustees, superintendents, staff, and fellow students. As our term as student trustees comes to a close, we are proud to reflect on a truly impactful year of student leadership, collaboration, and advocacy across the DDSB.
From the launch of new initiatives to the strengthening of long-standing traditions, this year's Senate worked tirelessly to amplify student voice and well-being.
In December, our Vice President, Victor Tsvetkovich, led a team of senators in organizing a Durham-wide charity drive in partnership with the Durham Children's Aid Foundation. Thanks to the dedication of 6 participating high schools, we raised $932.90 to support vulnerable youth during the holiday season through the DCAF Holiday Hope program.
March brought our Student Senate and Trustee Workshop, a landmark event held in the boardroom that connected senators with trustees, superintendents, and staff. Through breakout discussions, we addressed key issues like mental health, AI and education, school climate, and transportation. The session not only sparked meaningful recommendations, but highlighted the importance of student voice in board-level decision-making. This impactful event is set to return next year with even more opportunities for engagement.
In April, we made history by launching the first ever DDSB Elementary Senate Leadership Conference, bringing together over 60 grade 7 and 8 classes from across the district, all virtually. This exciting new initiative, part of our Future Leader Empowerment Conference series, aimed to introduce young students to the world of student governance and plant the seeds for future leadership. Hosted during the school day, the 1-hour conference offers students a chance to explore leadership opportunities through engaging breakout sessions, regional group discussions, and interactive introductions to the roles of student senators as well as student trustees. With the session led by our Senate executive team, as well as General Assembly senators, Students got an inside look into what it means to have a voice in their school communities. Our goal? To inspire early involvement, foster confidence, and build a stronger bridge between elementary and secondary leadership. If this was just the beginning, imagine what next year will bring.
We also celebrated diversity and community at our Senate potluck, where students proudly shared their cultures through food and traditional attire. It was a powerful reminder that inclusion and identity go hand in hand with leadership. As highlighted in this reel, here's a glimpse of the diverse dishes shared by our student senators. Big thanks to everyone who took part.
On May 6, 2025, during the Mental Health Awareness Month, the DDSB Student Senate hosted our second annual Mental Harmony Beyond the Stigma at the Durham District School Board, an inspiring event focused on breaking mental health stigma and building a supportive community. Students participated in powerful breakout sessions on topics like supporting loved ones, accessing DDSB mental health services, and challenging stigma. The day also featured fun and relaxing activities including time with support puppies, games, writing hopeful messages on rocks, and drawing smiley faces at the entrance. It was a meaningful blend of connection, learning, and joy, all led by students for students. Take a glimpse at more of what made the day special.
Our commitment to transparency and leadership development continued through our Student Trustee Information Session in November and the Student Trustee Election Forum in February, both of which empowered the next generation of student leaders.
This year, we've built stronger bridges between students and system leaders, raised awareness on critical issues, and created spaces where student voices are not only heard, but valued.
Thank you to our Senate, staff advisors, and every student who contributed to this year's success. The future of student voice in the DDSB is bright, and we're proud to have played a part in shaping it.
Thank you, and through you, Chair. On behalf of all three of us, we greatly appreciate the experiences that this role has brought forth to us, and we want to thank each and every person around the board table for making this experience so unique and cherishable. That concludes our final report of the year. We are now open to any questions and comments.
Any questions from trustees? Trustee Jacula?
I don't have a question. I just want to say thank you to all of you for your involvement this year. It's been great to see. And in terms of things being great to see, opening my email today and seeing the OPSPA news, seeing that one of our own student trustees, Kayla Hoare, has won the Ontario Public Student Trustee Leadership Scholarship. That was fantastic to see, and I think you deserve recognition for that, so congratulations.
Trustee Brown?
Thank you, and through you, Chair. I will miss you guys, that's the first thing. And I feel that you've done such a good job in your role, and you've taught me a lot. So know that you've done a really good job. Very, very pleased to have served next to you. And congratulations, Kayla.
Okay, moving on to the next item, which is the quarterly construction and major projects update, and I'll turn it over to Associate Director Wright.
Thank you, Madam Chair. It's my pleasure to be joined this evening by Lisa Bianca, Head of Facility Services, who is joining to present the report.
Great, thank you, and through you, Madam Chair. Pleased to share with you an update on construction and development activities since our last report in March. DDSB currently has Ministry of Education approval to construct 8 new schools, which will open between September 2025 and 2028. Josiah Henson Public School and Trillium Woods PS, formerly unnamed Pickering Seton and unnamed Coghlan, are proceeding towards completion and welcoming students in September. Both schools will open with portables to accommodate their full enrollment. Unnamed Oshawa Secondary School continues to make good progress towards its intended opening in September 2026. Tenders were successfully completed for 3 new elementary schools. 2 in West Whitby, 1 in North Oshawa. All 3 projects have contractors mobilizing and construction starting as we work towards September 2026 openings. The remaining 2 capital projects, unnamed West Whitby Secondary School and unnamed Oshawa Public School, are in the process of receiving municipal approvals, completing construction documentation. Tenders are expected in late fall 2025. The Ministry of Education also annually provides school boards with 2 grants to fund renovations and building improvements. School renewal and school condition improvement are the names of those funds. With this year, we have over 55 projects tendered and in preparation for construction starts for work to be completed over the summer months. These annual capital funds in the amount of $30,047,264 are being used towards the completion of the major projects that you find listed in your report. Our staff do continue to develop projects that utilize our funding to achieve the greatest impact and further DDSB's strategic goals and key priorities. As always, the quarterly construction report and all our past reports as well can be found on the DDSB website, and this provides families, community members, current information on all of our capital works. So thank you, and I'm open to any questions you may have.
Trustee Edwards.
Thank you for the report, and I think I've mentioned before that, I've gotten several compliments on the reports that are provided, and they're looking at using it as a template for other boards to provide their quarterly construction reports because it's full of information, and with the graphics involved, it's really easily understood. So thank you for those reports. But I have 2 questions. One is around basically Trillium Woods in that, we understand that the childcare cannot open at the first day of school. So I'm just wondering, is there an update? Is when there, because the community is, when will it be open? And the other one is around washroom upgrades. Will the upgrades include universal washrooms? Because we hear so much great things about that.
Great. Thank you for your question through you, Madam Chair. We are working with our child care partner, both partners for actually both schools, to achieve an opening. Our target is around Thanksgiving. Having said that, it will depend on licensing and approvals. Once the building proper is finished, then we work with our partners so that they can get their approvals in place, all of their inspections. It's a whole other layer, but our target is mid-October, hoping that it is achievable, and we are working towards that. The washroom renovations in the report are universal washrooms, and you are absolutely correct. It's a very big ask from the schools. They're very much in favor. Thank you.
Seeing no further questions, thank you very much. And we'll move on to the special education placement. Oh, sorry. All right. Trustee Thatcher.
Yes, thank you, Chair. I just wondered if there could be a little bit of clarification around just one section here where we're talking, I guess I've got budget on my mind here, but it talks about the pricing's been favorable with limited bid overages observed in contrast with the initial estimates. When we're talking about limited bid overages, I'm not sure what that means.
Thank you for your question. On our, actually probably the best place I think to look is in the budget book when we have our schedules, so page 34 and 35. I don't expect everybody to have it in front, but if you do, take a look later. Down at the bottom of the list is a line called contingency. And what we do is we use that for when our tendered price is marginally higher than what we were projecting it to be. This gives us a little bit of room so the projects can still go ahead. That being said, if the gulf between what the intended price is and what our tenders return at, we do a couple of things. We either undertake value engineering to get the project back in line and look at where we can economize and save money. If it's marginally above, we use our contingency money to top up and move on with the project.
Okay, I think you're good now. Thanks. Okay, we'll move on to Special Education Placement Elementary Gifted, General Counsel Patrick Cotter and Superintendent Macaulay.
Thank you, and through you, Chair Oldfield. So the report can be found commencing at page 24 of your package. As trustees will recall, an issue was raised at the May 20 board meeting in relation to the DDSB's delivery of educational services to those students who are identified as gifted, and in particular in relation to the current random selection process. As a result, the board passed a motion asking staff to consider the authority of the board in relation to that process and to, presumably issue directions in that regard. Since that motion was passed, the director, working with Superintendent Macaulay and the associate directors, has come up with a process to eliminate the random selection process and to move forward with placing those students that were previously identified as gifted and have not been previously offered a spot to be offered spots for the 25-26 school year. If there are any questions around the operational issues, I would defer to the director and to Superintendent Macaulay. Thank you.
Are there any questions from trustees? Trustee Edwards?
And I appreciate that staff revisited the randomized selection process based on community input and feedback and analyzed the financial impact, and it provided that with us, and it will be included in the proposed draft budget. As far as I appreciate that. And I do recognize, again, I want to say we do recognize that in our special education plan, that we are committed to provide supports and resources to foster student growth and development in programs which promise, as you said, integration, independence based on an individualized student's needs, interests, and strengths. And that we are going to continue to look at this process, the gifted process, in order to ensure that the process reflects our goals within our strategic plan and our human rights commitment as well. And I know STEAC will be looking forward to actually on this journey to improving that process and ensuring that, again, that it's in line with our commitment. And I thank you for the report. Thank you.
Seeing no further questions, I'll move on to the draft 2025-2026 Inclusive Student Services Special Education Plan and turn it over to Superintendents Macaulay and Bliss.
Thank you and good evening. Through you, Chair, the draft 2025-2026 Inclusive Student Services Special Education Plan and accompanying report can be found starting on page 27 in tonight's agenda. The special education plan presented is developed in alignment with Regulation 306 of the Ontario Education Act, which outlines the requirement for districts' special education plans. The plan serves as a framework of our commitment to support inclusive practices that foster student achievement and well-being. This report outlines services, resources, and supports designed to address the diverse needs of students, ensuring equitable access to education for all learners. Grounded in a commitment to inclusion, the plan emphasizes collaboration among educators, families, and students, aiming to create environments where every student can thrive academically, socially, and emotionally. Moreover, this plan seeks to uphold the principles of excellence and equity by identifying areas for enhancement and fostering continuous improvement in the delivery of special education services. Leveraging revenue through the Envelope Special Education Fund, the plan reflects our action focus on direct support for students, their resources, and supports for inclusion and accommodation.
Specifically, the plan with actions aligned with the draft budget coming forward to trustees for consideration includes our ongoing commitment and monitoring of student-centered and focused expenditures. With optimization of the Special Education Fund, 95% of the expenditures are focused on student services through staffing, including the roles and full-time equivalencies in Standard 12 or page 94 of your package this evening. $2.5 million for student technology and equipment, and less than 1%, but an important commitment supporting staff professional learning, Standard 13 or page 97 of your package, and other related costs such as assessment materials. Our students are centered in this district multi-year strategic plan and all action plans of the district, including the 2025-2026 draft Inclusive Student Services Special Education Plan. The purpose of this report this evening is to present the plan for information and as opportunity for feedback from the board. The plan will be finalized following this meeting and will be before trustees with a recommendation for approval during the June board meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions from trustees? Trustee Edwards?
Thank you, and I appreciate all the work that goes into putting this plan together, special education plan, but I always hesitate calling it a plan because it is highly regulated and prescribed requirements under the Ministry of Education standards for a board special education plan. And it really outlines what the board does, and it doesn't really necessarily have a lot of room for planning, future planning of what we want to do. I do have a couple of questions and a couple of comments on the plan. On page 29, we actually list the relocations, closures, and openings of the types of programs, basically our small class placements, but I couldn't seem to find the number of programs by type within the document, and I was just wondering if we could include in the plan the actual number. I know that the numbers do change based on needs of students, and and that's quite clear as far as that, but I'm just wondering if, you know, for our overall commitment, if we could include that in the report. I've also got a couple other comments, and I don't know whether you wanted to. And also on the comment on table 1, the summary of ISS roles and responsibilities. And I know later in the report we do list the number of staff, as you mentioned in your opening comments, as far as the list of staff. But I'm just wondering if it would be beneficial to actually list a number in brackets of the staff under each of the roles. From my perspective, or maybe just include a statement that these people support X number of students enrolled in the DDSB and X number of students partaking in inclusive student services. And the reason why it keeps us into a really good picture and focus as far as how we can tie that into the budget, and that the amount of limited resources that we actually do and how well we do use them as a board. And then there's another comment, and it's again because we move forward, and we do try to avoid using the exceptionalities that are listed in the listed under the Education Act, because they do focus on a diagnosis or a deficit. I'm wondering if we could change to make it more prominent that that's what we're doing, is moving the last paragraph to the first paragraph, and then the last paragraph to the first, saying that's our statement. But because we are required to list the exceptionalities, here they are with the link, and again, you know, that first paragraph, it ends just adding under the Education Act. And then I know it says it in the next sentence, but we're working that because I want to see the priority is that we are putting students first, and we are moving away from the model that the ministry is, but still supporting the needs of our students. just two other things as far as that's concerned. The transition planning, again, that we, recognize that transition planning are under the memorandums and stuff start at age 14. And however, as a board, we do recognize that where there are many transitions that happen during the school life of a student. And I know we go further on, we explain a little bit more that in the IE process, but I might maybe have a referral to that section. Because again, transition planning is so crucial to the success of our students, and we know that they go through several transitions. And the last thing I think it's on page 79, page 80, and we talk about gifted classes. And considering we've already made a statement in previous reports that we're reviewing the gifted class placement process to be more in line with the Ontario Human Rights policy, can we not include a statement, because we do mention that around some of the deaf and hard of hearing that you're doing, so maybe put that in there so that they know that we're reviewing that. And the last thing is a clarification question on page 125. I know that chart is going to be updated, and we have X's for the categories in the chart where there's no variance listed and whatever, but then there's nothing in the bottom, and I'm just wondering, because we do address those in there, and I'm wondering, I'm really confused where the X's are missing.
Thank you, and through you, Chair. Thank you so much. Please let me know if I miss one in the sequence. Thank you so much for your thorough read and your feedback. I think it's very important for community. Happy to add the number of special education classes by class type, and we can circulate that to trustees through Jillian in the next 24 hours as well. For information this evening, the addition of the 3 elementary gifted classes will take the total of elementary gifted classes from 36 to 39 for a complete district total elementary and secondary of 239 special education classes. So happy to circulate that by class type for trustees. We do not publish our class locations broadly for identifying information of students attending. So thank you for that. The comments around the special education roles and responsibilities, appreciate that, and the team will add the header to the top of the table. Because of the prescription of the 2 standards, where standard 3 gives the role descriptions in a narrative, and standard 12 gives it in a numerative form in terms of the full-time equivalency, preference is to keep them separate for compliance with the standard. And also because as a district, we show a year-over-year change within the second standard, so standard 12, so that it's really clear to the public when we make additional staffing or there is a change, such as ASL interpreters or interveners last year down, this year up, that it's really clear to community to be able to track that year-over-year by individual roles, or where we've added a role, and it can be clear to the public that way as well. Greatly appreciate the commitment to anti-ableism and a social model of inclusion, and a movement away from deficit ideology and thinking and description of our students, and your recognition of why we've chosen to not repeat harmful language in the description of our students in Standard 8. And so thank you for that suggestion to move the lower paragraph to the top end to front the section. You will see that change reflected when the plan comes back to board in 2 weeks with motion of approval. I'm just checking in midpoint. Am I okay to that point? Okay, sorry. Just wanted, in case there was further questions on those items. Transition planning, I think your question raises an interesting point where we could be clear in the plan. So I'll go back with the team. The reference to 14 and up is in specific reference to integrated transition planning. So we are under a PPM requirement where 2 or more, likely 3, tri-ministries are involved in the pathway planning for youth, moving through late elementary, through secondary, and into their next adult destination. So The ITP, or the Integrated Transition Process referencing 14, links to the complexity of where social insurance numbers, ODSP, are part of transition planning. I want to reassure the board and families at home, our earliest transitions actually start as early as the fall preceding year 1 kindergarten. So quite often in October or November. So this spring, Lauren will lead the team in connecting with community partners and families in the fall for children that we will have the pleasure of greeting a year September from now. So just wanted to reassure that transitions happen in a number of places and spaces, both large and small. But sometimes we are in conversations around a child's 3rd birthday in terms of that preparation for school start. Comment well taken around gifted program, and we'll make that update. And our last conversation with the ministry was a check-in yesterday on a feedback last night that the special education plan checklists are not yet available. And so the X's and the indications that you see in this draft are from last June and indicate the standards of the plan between the 2023-2024 plan and the current 24-25 plan, and which areas had amendments made to them when the checklist is made available. And if not before board, we'll do a mock-up of it to show you this year's. That goes in as an indication for community and for the ministry on any standard that had any change made to it. Then the X goes in the box to indicate an amendment. And if it remained consistent with the year previous, it stays open. Just as a checklist of quick read through if there were minor changes made to the plan. The last couple of years we have made fairly significant overhaul in the language. So you will see a fairly intensive checklist come forward once that's available from the ministry. And we thank our Eastern representation from the ministry, asked a question on a Sunday and got an answer on a Sunday night in terms of the availability. So not yet on that one.
I'm going to go to Trustee Miller.
Thank you, and through you, Chair. I'd first just like to thank the Inclusive Services team for the work that went into put into this report. I'm happy that I've sat on the SEAC committee for this time, and I've seen the work that goes into it. And I'd also like to welcome Lauren to the team. And so the second question, or this following Trustee Edwards' point regarding some of the inclusive language, I just would like to offer consideration, and for us perhaps looking at from our perspective in the DDSB to perhaps note and distinguish the use of definitions or the terms when it regards to the neurodiverse needs of students. So what I'm further suggesting is perhaps noting that this is the way that we define something versus the ministry, so that it's just clear if we use something different as a consideration.
Trustee Thatcher.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Superintendent McCauley, for the report. And I also, my question in part was around the number of special education classes, and I appreciate receiving that. But I appreciate the number you've given us, 239 classes this year. Just wondering how that compares with last year.
Thank you, and through you, Chair. If you turn to the chart in the report, we are up 2 elementary classes, so we do have a few opens and closes with a net difference of 2 noted in the report. That will now become 5 with the additional 3 elementary, and with a couple transitions of classes in secondary, 3 closes and 3 opens, we are net neutral in secondary.
Supplement. So thank you, I appreciate that. So in addition to that, so what would that mean in terms of staffing? Does that require, of course, a teacher and additional 1 EA for those classes?
Thank you. So at the secondary level, that is a neutral staffing implication. At the elementary level, it was originally a 2.4 because we include the cost of a 1.0 full-time teacher plus a 0.2 prep coverage. So that was originally a 2.4 calculation. It will now have an additional 3.6 to that. So additional teaching staffing, trustees, and I don't want to put different processes ahead of each other. The FTE listed in the draft report before you tonight is our current staffing. Trustees over the couple weeks ahead will note that there is nominal additional funding, our FTE request within the draft budget.
Trustee Thatcher?
Thank you so much, Chair. So then we have the 3 gifted teachers and the 2 additional for the special classes. What would be a support for those classes, if any?
So currently, it's within our district total of EA allocation. A year ago at this time, trustees approved a budget with 50 additional educational assistants. And so the Educational Assistant Allocation Committee has put draft allocations out to the system that include the 2.0 EAs to each special education class, gifted as an exception to that. Within the draft budget, we do have a nominal number of additional FTE for consideration.
Thank you. Trustee Edwards, did you wish to follow up?
Just one comment around the transition. I do fully am aware that we do a lot of transitioning beforehand, and it is mentioned later on in the report. And we are prescripted, as you said, by some of the standards that are laid out as far as that was concerned. I just wanted to highlight a little bit more, at least saying refer to other transitions, so the parents are aware that we, staff do a lot, as you said, as early as 3 years old, and so that we do cover off transition. It's not just focus. And the other thing is that you do transitions when a child is even 13, because it's as they go into high school. Even though it's prescribed at 14, I want to show that we do above and beyond really what is really prescribed. Thank you.
Seeing no further questions, thank you very much. Move on to the Ignite Durham Learning Foundation update and go to Trustee Arsenault.
Thank you, and through you, Chair. At the moment, we don't have a report to bring to you for tonight, but I do want to quickly mention that our golf tournament is right around the corner. I look forward to it. I look forward to the trustees that'll be there, and it is not too late to sign up, either for yourself or a student, or come out to help, or just support. Again, you can donate online, something very minimal if possible, but it's going to be a wonderful day. And I hope to see all of my trustees, or as many trustees and friends that said that we're coming out on that day. We do have a special that is coming out, a special video, and I'm excited to show you that, but I can't show you that tonight. That's it.
Any questions from trustees? Trustee Miller?
Thank you, Chair. I'd just like to find out about the shoe program, the shoe donation, if that is still on or that has been completed. No, it's still on. It will continue from now to, it continues all year. It's just its highlighted point is from now till September, to making sure students have shoes for the beginning of September. But I don't want to give anything away. If you want to donate to new shoes, you can go on the IDLF website. You can click on the code there and do your donation. There is a spot where you can do towards shoes. But again,
more to that campaign coming very soon.
Thank you. Moving on to memos. So we have two memos. They're at pages 234 to 242. Seeing no questions from trustees. That brings us to the end of the agenda, and before we adjourn, I just want to remind everyone that the Violence in Schools Ad Hoc Committee meeting will take place right after a short break following this meeting, and I'm looking for a mover to adjourn. Trustee Edwards, a seconder, Trustee Jacula. All those in favor? Opposed? That's carried. We're adjourned. Good evening. I'll now call the Violence in Schools Ad Hoc Committee meeting of Monday, June 2nd, 2025 to order. The Durham District School Board acknowledges that many Indigenous nations have long-standing relationships, both historic and modern, with the territories upon which our school board and schools are located. Today, this area is home to many Indigenous peoples from across Turtle Island. We acknowledge that the Durham region forms part of the traditional and treaty territory of the Mississaugas of Scugog Island First Nation, the Mississauga peoples, and the treaty territory of the Chippewas of Georgina Island First Nation. It is on these ancestral and treaty lands that we teach, learn, and live. Are there any declarations of interest at this time? Seeing none, there are no declarations of interest at this time. Can I have a motion to adopt the agenda? Trustee Jacula. All those in favor? It's carried. Can I have a motion to move the draft minutes of the November 20th, 2024 Violence in Schools Ad Hoc Committee meeting? Trustee Morton. All those in favor? It's carried. Moving on to the information items, I call on Superintendent Mundy to present the report from the Violence in Schools Working Group.
Thank you, and through you, Chair. This report is to provide an update on the activities of the working group. The working group has met twice since the ad hoc committee met in November 2024. And through those meetings, the working group has agreed to the creation of a report titled Creating Safe and Inclusive Schools. The report will include a research review, a section on DDSB, what we have heard, and recommendations. Following the February 28th meeting, a survey, which is attached in Appendix A, was sent to members of the working group, trustees, federations and unions, and family of school superintendents to share with appropriate staff. It is important to note that only 9 responses were received, but that is provided for you in the appendix, and it is provided as it was received. The working group did agree upon reviewing the information that the themes identified in the survey do align with information that we have heard over the last year through presentations and information from our trustees. At the May 12th working group meeting, we completed an activity to brainstorm potential actions considering 3 areas. So we looked at the area of governance, focusing on advocacy, policy, and other. We looked at system operations, looking at procedure, professional learning, communication, and a section for other, and school communities, looking at initiatives, professional learning, communications, and other, so that we could gather information on potential actions that we could bring back to the ad hoc committee. This same activity was completed last week with the Parent Involvement Committee and will be shared with the Special Education Advisory Committee and the Student Senate next week. The working group will reconvene in September to review all the information gathered, specifically the research review, what we have heard, and the recommendations summarized from these activities. And then we will work to finalize a report that can be shared with the ad hoc committee in November of this year. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions from trustees? Seeing no questions, I do just want to thank the working group and the staff who've shared their lived experiences with the working group. At times, this task has seemed insurmountable. It is a large task to tackle, and so many different issues and factors involved. So I want to thank Superintendent Mundy and the staff for helping us keep on track and to find a way forward to be able to tackle all the information and process it to find a way forward, to be able to come back and present it in a format that makes sense to everybody. So thank you very much. If there's no further questions or business, I can have a motion to adjourn. Trustee Cunningham, all those in favor? That's carried. We're adjourned.